Designated receivers. Again, we have our Fabric interconnect with our DMZ environment and our production environment. So this is our production, and this is our DMZ environment, where we connect things to. Alright, interface 1/11 is going to be my DMZ interface, and 9 and 10 are going to be the port channel going to my production. So I segment my VLANs, so I say, alright, the red VLANs go to the DMZ network, and the blue VLANs go to the production network. The Fabric interconnect has its own way of processing broadcast, multicast, and unknown unicast traffic. If there is a multicast packet or a broadcast packet coming in from the DMZ network, it will start forwarding that out on all the interfaces. But all the interfaces means all the client interfaces. So a broadcast received from one of the uplinks, so imagine that there are 4 uplinks to the DMZ network, and all of these 4 allow the red VLANs. On one of these, I might receive the packet on 4 links, but I will only accept it once. I do not want 4 copies of a broadcast packet, because then I end up in a loop, right? Because I then can receive it multiple times. I only accept it once. So I only accept it from one link. And that link is my designated receiver. So let's say this first link, that is going to be my designated receiver. So I only accept broadcast traffic on a link that I chose to be the designated receiver. Then that broadcast packet for the red VLAN is then sent out on all the client ports. So these client ports are my Menlo ports, so just ports on an I/O module. They can be these virtual Ethernet interfaces going to Palo cards or anything else. So client ports that I see on my Fabric interconnect. That's where I forward a copy of that broadcast packet out. If there is a broadcast packet coming back, so one server sends a broadcast packet like an ARP, for example, that broadcast packet is then forwarded out on all ports that it has to forward out. So first of all, it needs to forward out all the client ports. So the Fabric interconnect does the replication then, and it needs to go out on the uplink. But which uplink? If I forward that traffic on all my uplinks, I'm not doing loop prevention, right? Because I forwarded out on 4 links, it's going to come back on all those 4 links. So like in the spanning tree design, I want traffic to be forwarded out only on one link. So in this case, I forward my traffic out on only a single link. And that single link is also my designated receiver. So per VLAN, I select one uplink to be the designated port for receiving and sending out broadcast packets for that given VLAN. That is going to be my designated receiver. In the past, in UCS 1.x, that was called a global interface or something. In UCS 1.x, the system chose only one uplink for all of its broadcast traffic. So that wasn't related to on a VLAN basis. So not per VLAN basis, but for all the traffic in the system, I forward my broadcast traffic out this link. So then in this case, in this disjoint layer 2 configuration, that would break, of course. This only works if I choose one of those uplinks on a per VLAN basis. Then I can segment my VLANs and segment my layer 2 networks. So there's one special command to see who is the designated receiver for any given VLAN. And I will show you how that works. So by the way, do you understand now what the role of the designated receiver is? Alright, so we're back in our initial configuration here. As you can see, I have 2 Fabric interconnects here. And yeah, I need to do some things here. So I do not have a 6248 Fabric interconnect. I just have a 6120 Fabric interconnect here. Let me get out of the way. So back to our Fabric interconnects. Let me configure some VLANs and some uplinks. So let's do it what we did. And I will configure one port channel. So 9 through 11, we configure that to be an uplink port. And now my head is in the way. So configure these 3 ports as an uplink port. And we'll do the same with Fabric Interconnect B. Unconfigured ports 9 through 11 are going to be my uplink ports. So this is exactly how you will approach, by the way, in the lab. We now in the full-scale mock lab rack that we have at IP Expert, we now have an RDP session or a Windows VM inside that rack where you can start the UCS manager. So it's a very quick and snappy interface right now. So let's create a port channel 123. Ports 9 and 10 are going to go into the port channel. As you can see, it is disabled by default. So I need to manually enable it. And now if we go back to our switch, you see that it is participating. So now my port channel 123 is up. And it's running LACP. So you can see that I have a neighbor with a certain identifier. And I can even see CDP neighbors. So if I check my CDP neighbors here, I can see that my UCS Fabric Interconnect A is connected behind here. And now the more fun part is that I can also do that from the Fabric Interconnect as well. So I can do a show CDP neighbor on the Fabric Interconnect, and I can see that I have a Nexus 5548 connected behind it. Can we do show CDP neighbors? Can we see them in the UCS as well? Well, yes, you can, but not in the GUI. So I need to go into the NXOS CLI to see that I have some CDP neighbors here. I can do a show port channel summary here, where I can also see that my port channel is up and running. It's running in LACP mode with active links. So all good to go. And of course my Ethernet 1/11 is also working, but it's down, so I need to enable that link. We connected to 4.5. Okay, that's up. Right. All right, so our port channel is up. Our uplink interface here is up. And for Fabric B, we're gonna just bring them up. So these ones are up, I guess. Let me check that. All right, so here all my 6 interfaces are now up and running. On Fabric Interconnect A, I made a port channel and a separate interface. And on Fabric B, I made 3 different interfaces. So I did that so you can see that the designated receiver is first of all chosen per VLAN, and it is chosen per Fabric Interconnect, and it can choose a port channel and a separate interface here. So let's create some VLANs. Production. It's going to be VLAN 101. And I'm going to say DMZ. It's going to be VLAN 201. All right, let's go back to our configuration. If I check my port channel now, I can see that I have allowed these 3 VLANs. Same as for interface Ethernet 1/11. If I do a show interface trunk, I can even see everything. So I'm in forwarding state. So it says STP forwarding. Technically it's not running spanning tree. But like I said, you can do a show. If you do a show span, it will not autocomplete. So I can hit the tab button here. But if I do a show spanning tree VLAN 101, I will run some things. I will run rapid spanning tree. So it's a bit of a strange behavior. So it will say I'm a designated forwarder device. But as you can see, it automatically configured this as an edge port. And you are sure that this guy will never send out a BPDU. So technically it's not running spanning tree, but for some reason these commands are still in the system. All right. Now, how do I find that command for Disjoint Layer 2, the designated receiver? That is found in the white paper. So again, this is found if you go into the support section that you have access to in the lab. So let me browse again there. So the UCS components are a bit stuck away. Some configurations and some command references and stuff are separated. Some pieces are at the blade system. Some configuration can be found in the UCS manager configuration, or the documentation, I mean. And some parts are found in the Fabric Interconnect documentation. So it's a little bit looking for where to look for. But everything is under the Unified Computing section. Go to your Fabric Interconnect, because the Disjoint Layer 2 feature is really a Fabric Interconnect feature. So if I am in this documentation section, I go to white papers, and here I find my Disjoint Layer 2 white paper. If I scroll down, I first find a command where if I do this on the CLI, it will error. It doesn't exist. Why is that? This is the command that was used to find the globally pinned port, or G-pin port, in the UCS 1.x deployments. So don't freak out if this command doesn't work. This is for UCS 1.x. We are looking for the UCS 2.0 way of doing this. And that is found all the way down here, right here, where it says show platform software ENM internal info VLAN DB ID. Now, some people can remember this. I usually just like to copy and paste this. So if I go in and I say for VLAN 101, which is my production VLAN, I will find that my designated receiver port is port channel 123. I chose this port out of these two. I am able to choose either Ethernet 1/11 or port channel 123 for this, but in this case I chose port channel 123. If I check VLAN 201, you see that it also chose port channel 123 here. And that is because this will do load balancing based on the bandwidths. So this is a higher bandwidth link, so that's more preferred to become the designated receiver. Now, if I start configuring my Disjoint Layer 2 stuff, like we did yesterday, go to the LAN cloud, go to the uplinks manager, and go to the VLAN section, VLAN manager. Now, I will say the port channel on Fabric A is for the production VLAN, and the Ethernet interface is for the DMZ VLAN. I'm going to do the same on Fabric B. So here interfaces Ethernet 1/9 and 10 are mapped to the production VLAN, and interface Ethernet 1/11 maps to the DMZ VLAN. We apply it, and now if we check our configuration for port channel 123, we see that we only allow VLAN 101. By the way, VLAN 1, I cannot change the behavior of this. And interface Ethernet 1/11 only allows VLAN 201. Now if I check those designated receiver ports, so for VLAN 101, that still chooses port channel 123, which is good, but the membership changed. So Ethernet 1/11 is now gone from choosing the designated receiver port. VLAN 201 now chose interface Ethernet 1/11 because that is its only option for now choosing that. So a very clear view of how the network is working. And now, like I said, they cannot ask you anything about the designated receiver, but you know for sure that your disjoint layer 2 configuration is working if this works. Because otherwise, if anyone would do if this designated receiver port would not be updated, then if I do an ARP and it goes on the wrong link, I break my connectivity. So it's very important to keep this good and to keep an overview of how this works. Let's go back and check this on the Fabric Interconnect B. So here I did not configure a port channel. So I have those two separate Ethernet links, both allowing VLAN 101. And I have interface Ethernet 1/11, which only allows VLAN 201. Now, if I check, so show platform software internal ENM. Shit, it was show platform software ENM. Info VLAN DB ID 101. Here I see that I can choose between 9 and 10, and I chose 9. And for 201 I should see 11. Oh, the link is down. So the link for Ethernet interface Ethernet 1/11 is still down. So actually my VLAN 201 is now down because I did not choose a designated receiver and I do not have a link that is up and running. But that's okay. You get the idea that I can choose either a port channel or a separate link. And it will choose that based on a number of things like available bandwidth, lowest link number probably. But it's another verification that your networking part of the UCS is working.